Good morning, Rabbi Isai. So good to be back. You know, the first thing I noticed is air conditioning. Wow, this is the chevra I know. It was a long time, 2 weeks. I think I'll share with you a little bit. We landed. Don't take this flight. It's a little confusing. It says it leaves at 9 o'clock at night. 9 o'clock? How bad can 9 o'clock be? 9 o'clock leaving Switzerland means we landed at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. There was a little bit of a delay, half-hour delay. All of a sudden, you lose an hour. All of a sudden, before you know it, 4 a.m. Got home at about 5. But I want to show you something very, very nice that happened. Let me give a Hagdama. I go to the guy, I can't get one of those tickets. Anytime I come out, I have to go to the border control. The guy goes, he looks at me, he goes, "You're Eli Stefansky. I do your shear." Now the guy is not wearing a yarmulke, nothing. I said, "Are you joking?" So here it is.
הנה, מרכז הדף היומי, זה שלך. כאן זה תסתכל, מה, אתה לא עושה? מרכז הדף היומי עם אלי סטפנסקי. האם קוראים לך אלי סטפנסקי? קוראים לך, יופי, נהדר.
He says you do it in Hebrew and in English. That's what we missed. Yeah. I just share with you the last picture I took of the Alps, the last, and then I'll share a little bit later. This is the last picture I took. There's some cows in the background. See that? A couple of huts, the typical Swiss hut. Visiting the AMDY family meetup. Ezra Layton and Rabbi Yankee Levitin at Orizon Camp. Nathan, 12 years old, daffing at the British F1 Grand Prix. F1 Formula. Another UK, Manchester boys satellite going strong. There was a big Havamina. I really decided I was going to go. I was going to be in London and in Manchester today. The thing was that I wasn't going to give it the proper respect. I was going to do a little bit of Manchester, maybe in Hebrew, London in English. I want to go maybe in a few weeks, do a Kamosh Tzaref. Also, coming after a trip like that, it just didn't all of a sudden hit me. It's like, I'm not going to be myself. I'm going to be tired, and it just doesn't make so much sense. And it's not like on the way, It's probably closer. It's just easier to just go to England and come back than to go stop over there and just learned Daf 65, got home and found this cricket that's tsar in the house. This looks like an elephant, not like a cricket, but okay. Maybe it's a Beseder. The Masech is sponsored by Zevin Yal Shulov, Perek, Ilan, and Mary Davidovici, who were there. Enhanced the Shabbos over there. Lili Nishmas Shaya Ben Aaron and Yochevet Chava Itel Bas Avrohom. Daf Samach Zayim by Meir Planko. Lezech Nishmas Yisrael Osher Ben Avrom Yehudo. Lezech Nishmas Moshe Ben Alexander. To remind Oila Meir Planko, when we only had about 500 people on YouTube and we had to get to 1,000, otherwise we wouldn't be able to transmit on YouTube. So I went around the Merkaz and I walked into this farm store. I saw you. They said, "Do me a favor. Put in, be a subscriber on YouTube to my shir." He says, "What's your name?" I told him the thing. His name is Meir Planka. And he did the daf that day, and he never left us. That was 7 years ago, probably. And that was 8 years when we were trying to get Meir Planka's father-in-law. So, who's the guy sitting next to you? What's your name?
Meir Planka.
I know what Meir looks like. 8 years, what? Shalom Aleichem. Nice for you to come. Shkoyach. I want to give a great shkoyach to Ariel. You're Foxman? You brought food every single day to the Olam here? Wow. Great shkoyach. Every day. Every day, brought it in. It's mamish. Nobody asked him, on his own. Yishkoach, we need more people like you. The Masechta, David Salomon, dedicated memory of Avi Moiri Reb Shmuel Baruch Ben Reb Chaim Tzvi Doiv Zechron Levrach, the Apologetic Foundation, in honor of MDY Latin America and their warm hospitality. Anonymous, Hatzlach Baruchnis, V'gashmis, and thank you to Chief Benny, Shmuel and Ahuva Schuster, for Kedin Hatzlach and Nachas from our children. Anonymous, for complete refuah shleim and Arichas Yom Talea Bas Esther, B'Yom and Daniel Rosenfeld, Bris V'Simcha. Monthly sponsors, Chaim and Leah.
Schuster's right here.
Where's Schuster? Oh, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name again?
Schuster.
From? Muncie. So let's go back. Where's that? Oh, Shmuel and Ahuva Schuster. That's Toch and Nachas from our children. That's your child? No, what happens when I say? Do you take it in the right way? Or like, do you really think we're that bad that you have to... I see him, he's going... Sean, what's your names? You're the troublemaker, yeah. What's your name? Tzvi. Is he the troublemaker? Between the two of you. You are. Tzvi, okay, I got it. He's doing the... Okay, fine. Where are we holding? Weiter? Oh, there's a lot of people there, a lot of guests. Are you guys here from like last week still? Or there's Yichad? What's your name? What? Moshe Man.
Yeah.
And who's that, gentle? Your grandfather. What's your name? Shalom Aleichem. From? Passaic. What minute? You wrote in or something?
My brother did.
Aha. When?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Of course, we were referring to.
You know that I go play, the people say, I just wrote you an email. I go, yeah. You know the thing, I have no idea what the... And, okay, fine.
He came every day when you weren't here.
Really? Yeah. So when I asked the question, he was going like this, and he was being serious. Thank you. And finally I came back. It's unbelievable. I gotta say, it was a very good trip. We got to talk to him. It was a little long, but it was very geschmack. It was very geschmack. Huh? Next year, we're not going to invite the mishpacha, just friends. And so,
If you want to cut out.
yeah, it's obvious. Chaim and Leah, Louis? That's the guy from Muncie?
Yeah.
Chaim, Louis from Muncie. That sounds like in honor of the MDY family. So you know what? It was geschmack, and all the guys came, but it was also geschmack. I met a lot of new people. People I didn't know, like this guy, Chaim and Leah, Louis. And then Satmar Hasidim, we had a Satmar Chassid. I said it over in Shir, but I'll say it again because you guys didn't listen. Guy comes, it happened like a few times, the same exact thing, that the wife sticks up for the husband. He goes, my husband does the Shir. My husband does Shir. He learns Torah. I said, I know, but did he do Shir today? No, not today. Did he do Shir yesterday? No. And does he do Shir usually when he's in New York? Does he do on Friday? No. I said, that's what we're talking about. But your husband wears tefillin every day. Havad. And then all of a sudden, nafal asimon, they say in Hebrew. And the guy's like, you know what? I'm joining. Satmar. He's like, we don't do Daf Yomi. We do another program. Oh, spiel. I'm joining. He came to the shir. He liked it. He came afterwards. He spoke to Benny, the whole thing. So the people that we met there, also very, very interesting stuff. Arya Simon, we missed you. L'refuah shlema of Imoiri Baruch Ben Miriam. Anonymous. We have 3 Eli Nishmas Yonatan Eitan. Anonymous Eli Nishmas Yonatan Eitan Ben Mordechai Zev HaKoyin Zochron Levracha. The Tzvis Eli Nishmas Yonatan Eitan Ben Mordechai Zev HaKoyin Zochron Levracha. Weekly sponsors, Spanish Cheer sponsors, big refuah shleima with their close friend Naftali Herz Ben Chai Pesach. Strauss family Eli Nishmas Chaim Gabriel Ben Aryeh Yoel Jacobson Zochron Levracha on his Petira Friday. Yudches Tammuz, and there's more. The West Hempstead MDY Chevra. We mourn the loss of a beloved son of our Kehila. The Muncie MDY firefighters, there's a big loss, also a young guy. Our unforgettable chief, Chaim Gabriel Ben Aryeh Yoel Jacobson, 46-year-old. George Gross, in memory of my father on his 52nd yard side, Mayor Ben Shmuel David. Anonymous, Mashiachil Ben Freda Leah, for the merit of Zakai Bedin, Ulatzlocha, Amen. MDY Art, the first name of Mordechai Ben Esther, the first Ayala, Daniel Zev Ben Ayala Esther. Rabbi Yisai, it's a sad day today. We are finishing one of the best prokim in Shas, Elu Trefus, I get a double hanaf from it. First of all, it's very geschmack, and the pictures are geschmack. But all those naysayers, all those people that say that Eil Treif is from the hardest prakim in Shas, turns out one of the easiest and most geschmacks of the prakim in Shas. That's what it just turned out. So don't believe those people. The people that say Eruvin is so tough, one of the easiest mesechtas. Yevamis, I'm not going to talk about. It wasn't so bad. Who? That guy? He's not a guest. He's the Spanish. No. You don't recognize? I recognize, you don't. He comes all the time. Just making me feel good. Okay, Rabbi Isai. We're holding up Samach Zayin Amud Aleph. We did a bunch of lines over here, but we could go back a little bit just because, there's people that don't really, they're not holding. Lamasha, where's this guy? You didn't call him up 4 times? Okay, I said 4 times. Rabbi says there's 4 types of waters. Yamim and Achalim are the top when it comes to worms. We're talking about a sugi. We have a sugi here. You came just in time, Tzaddik. Shalom Aleichem. Kim Tzaran.
Naftali Cross. He just made Aliyah.
You just made Aliyah, Naftali? Really? Wow. Shalom Aleichem. Kim Tzaran. For him, you could sing B'Shavu Bar. Not for me. That was the stuff. There has to be a Hasidic shindigin for this. There's more of Ay v'shuvei bonim, v'shuvei bonim. Yeah, I know. Naftali Kraus is Bavust. He's a famous guy, Naftali Kraus. Unbelievable. I didn't know you were making Aliyah. Welcome, welcome. All right, so we're discussing a sugya of different types of worms that you could eat. You could legally eat, halachically you could eat. These are worms that grow, that were produced, or they were born in a vessel. We're going to see later on also worms that were born in fruit, detached fruit, not detached fruit.
Generated. Spontaneous generation.
No, we're not talking about spontaneous generation. There is no spontaneous generation. The Rechman already discussed that based on today's science, we know there's no such thing as spontaneous generation. What the Gemara calls spontaneous generation, regeneration or generation, spontaneous generation, the Gemara means what the Gemara knew then, basically to the naked eye, that there was, if you don't see the eggs, then it's considered spontaneous generation. Then you're allowed to eat it. You're allowed. It doesn't matter. So it doesn't really matter how it was created or not. But anyway, we're not going into that sugya. The point is that any worm that was created in the ocean or in the nachal, here, that's the picture I just showed you. Oh, the nachal. I guess that's why I showed you subconsciously. My last picture in Switzerland, here's a nachal. And my son, my oldest son, was drinking from the stream. I said, you're not supposed to drink from the stream. It says in Eretz Yisrael, the streams don't drink. That we found out he was right. You're allowed to drink in the Alps, you're allowed to. It's not a problem. Huh?
Did you do any yodeling?
We did a lot of stuff. I can't talk to those. If you come for Shabbos, I'll tell you more. Those who know, we did a lot of stuff there, yodeling including. Yeah, I have no idea what it is, but yes, we did it. I know Baruch what it is. Baruch. It's something I don't know. I don't want to know. Yeah. Okay, so let me just show you real quickly the 4 types of water, and then we can move on. There's something similar, almost. It's the next step down. It's charitzin. It's water that comes from the ground, that comes up, it keeps on moving. It's not the same water, it's moving. Then you have non-moving water. It's water that is stationary. You created a bar, a shiach, a ma'ara, different types of, what are they called? No, not receptacles.
Bodies of water.
Reservoirs. You have different types of ways to keep water, through the summer or whatever. So one of them is round, one of them is rectangle. The other one has a cover. It's more like a cave. Great. The worst of the worst, and for us, and now we're looking at the best of the best, in terms of eating worms, are worms that were born in a vessel. Okay, so we had a klal. We learned this halacha that the worms that were created in a vessel, that you're allowed to eat it, we learned it from a klal pratu klal. So that what? If you look at the top pasuk, it says, Bamayim, bayamim, ubenachalim. Bamayim is general, all waters, all bodies of water, doesn't matter what. And then there was a prat, bayamim ubenachalim. The Gemara asked, but bayamim ubenachalim, the prat is all the way at the end. It should be a sandwich. It should be klal, prat, klal. Or we were klal, prat. And that's the top of the Gemara. The Gemara says, Hotel Prat B'neim, we're mamish in the middle of a word, but it doesn't matter. It's as if, pretend that the prat goes in between the two klals, and then you get a legitimate klal upradu klal. B'mayim klal, b'yam u'nchol prat, b'mayim chazer v'kol, klal upradu klal, yatadon al prat, my problem for mayim noivim, afkol mayim noivim, water that has a source, keeps on moving, my rabbi. And what am I saying? That is usher to eat worms. Charitzin u'ni'itzin li'yisura. The number 2 one, the pasuk talks about oceans. We're going to add these guys also. They're also usher. Umaymiyat, and what type of worms could you eat? Bayrois, shichin, uma'arois, leteira, these guys. Okay, so this is where we're holding. Beima, ask the Gemara. It's gathered, water is gathered on top of the ground. I've called my rabbi. I feel the bar shichum is the surah. Maybe the bar, the shiach should be aser. Or my miyat kalim. Let's take one more. Let's do 3 that are aser. Oceans, charitzin that come from the ground, and even a bar shichum ma'ara that it doesn't come from the ground, but it's stationary, it's there, it's a body of water, so to speak. Maybe that should be aser. And only one type of water that the worms grow in, they're mutter, and that is in a kli. Says Gemara, no. We already learned. We have here. The pasuk says ezet toichlu. That adds one more thing, and we have a klal pratu klal. So now we have 2 things that we added. We have 4 types of waters. You have to add two types of waters to it. So the worst of the worst is the kli that we got from the klal pratu klal. And then we also have, sorry, not this one. We have ezetoichlo, which is the second one. And we're going to add the boirois, shichnomares, which are stationary. They're very similar to kli. Debate Rabbi Shmuel Tana, and then now the Gemara just goes over very, very similar. So when we have a klal pratu klal, by the way, this is going to be over very soon. So again, just for the few people that have trauma from the stuff, they shouldn't, because it's very simple. The difference between a klal pratu klal is, I mentioned it the other day, we'll go over it again quickly. Klal, prat, klal. The Torah says all types of water, you're allowed to eat the worms in them. Then the Torah says no. Only the ones from the ocean. Then the Torah says again, another klal. So when you learn klal about the klal, it adds many things to the prat. It's not just the oceans, it's many. And it has to just be similar to the prat. But when you do a miyut ribui, it's the same exact thing as a klal pratu klal. It's just throughout Shas, you're consistent. You're going to either learn, you're Rebbe Kiva, you're going to learn the entire Shas, klal pratu klal. You never do ribui miyut ribui. If you're a type of person, a type of Tana that does ribui miyut miyut, so he does it throughout Shas. What's the difference though? The difference is that a ribui miyut ribui, you get to include more stuff and you only take out one thing. The thing that's the furthest away from what we're discussing. So if we're discussing an ocean or ocean, what's the polar opposite of an ocean? A kli. So we're only take off one thing. Here's a interesting kasha on the side. I noticed the Mesilas Shas, he says, if you ever notice in the Yugimel Midas, how come it doesn't mention Ribui? So he brings the Taisus. Okay. So says the Gemara. Huh?
We had this issue. We count.
Yeah? Okay. So now we know it's a Taisus where? In Shavuos. No. Yeah, Taisus Shavuos Dafei. You're right. tells you the Dimmer Masa. Dimmer Masa of the Tana. Al Kaponim, so we're just going to do the same thing, pretty much, very similar. The Be'er Shmuel Tana, B'mayim, Shtei Pa'amim. If you want to look at the pasuk, we call it a cloud. He calls it a riboy. Ain't a cloud prat, el a riboy miyat. B'mayim riba, b'yam rechal miyat, b'mayim chazav riba. What we call a cloud prat, he calls it a riboy miyat riboy. Ribo miyat riba hakol, v'riba riba hakol. My Rabbi, what is he adding? Charitzim itzim li surah. He's saying that the water that's most similar to an ocean, the worms that grow in them are asur. Umaymiyat, and what are you allowed to eat? More stuff. Bar shichon umaris l'teira. Ema my riba bar shichon umaris l'surah. Umaymiyat kalim. Same question that we had a second ago. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you should not be able to eat the worms from a bar, but you should be able to eat the worms from a kli. That can be, since we have two limudim, we have this pasuk, which is a ribui, miut, ribui, we could actually change it if we want. And we have this miut as a toichlu, so we have two miutim. They include two different types of waters. The cloud, we know already, comes to include a kli, and zet toichlu comes to include the boiros. As the Gemara, Ve'ebachana, say the charitzim are mutter, and bar is asr? No. The time at Tisya bar Yehuda, my Reisal, the rabbis bar Yishchum Moiz, the Terry Lloyd's Charizon is Surah. It makes more sense. Because what's the most similar to a kli? A bar. The water is not going anywhere. It's just a giant kli in the ground. The water is constantly moving in a charetz. It gets water from the, how do you say tahaim in English? Groundwater. It keeps on moving. All right. I had a hara. I know no one's going to like my hara. I'm going to tell you my hara. What's pshat in the Alps? What's pshat in the Alps? Huh? This is the pshat in the Alps. Pshat in the Alps, it's, for me, I realize it's like kibbut aveim. What's pshat in kibbut aveim? Well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a father, a mother, and a child, so that you understand the love that a person has for his own child. They do irrational things all the time to save their children, to help their children, to support their children. And then you say, well, that maybe it's a mashal. It's a mashal to the Rebbeinu Shalom and us. We have to treat the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom, he loves us and we love him back. The whole thing. It's to give us musagim. We have no ideas. The Alps are to give us a musag of what Olam Haba might look like. A mashal. A mashu shebe mashu. You're sitting there with waterfalls and streams and cows grazing grass. The grass is green over here, then suddenly there's a sheer thing. Let me show you some pictures, but just from my last day, the Yechap. Here's one picture. This maybe it's a little bit, you're sitting there with a Gemara, learning like that. It's a mashal. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it. I'm asking, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu make it? For them, for the Swiss guys to enjoy. Here, look, I don't know if you can see, but there's a sheer rock on top, there's green in the middle, and then on the bottom over here, stamazai, just, and I didn't filter this. There's nothing. This is just how it came out. There's a couple cows grazing. It looks like a picture. It looks like a painting. This is my son, Luzzy, Chullin. We did 17,000 steps yesterday just to get to this lake. It was brutal. Anyway, and this is the guy with the broken arm. I told you about it. The Baruch Hashem, only one broken arm, no surgery, and Yishkoyach Benny for taking care of him while we were gone. 3 days he had to run with him. 3 days straight, the entire day, to get an x-ray in this country, to get a CAT scan, to get you know how it goes. Okay. Oh, and then a couple of chickens throw in, and then there's the lake over there on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? The key is some sugar. Anyways, you asking to this pshat? He's asking.
It might actually be over.
Oh, yeah, Zakti Gemara. It's Olam Haba if you do something with it. It's Olam Haba if you learn. It's time to look at it. Oh. Hey, Sasum, Behemefurish. The Gemara brought 2 psukim. Here we go. Just simple stuff, and then we get into the worms and it's geschmack. We're almost done here. We have 2. Me and Benny and I, we had an argument, Aryeh, if day 1, you're just going to unload on us 2 weeks worth of stuff.
The next 3 weeks until you leave again, I went every day. I was right once again.
Shalom Aleichem, what's your name?
Hi, Ruben.
From?
Toronto.
Toronto. Shalom Aleichem. There's a guy from Toronto who came to the Alps to be with us. What was his name? A few people came. There's a chef in a yeshiva, Chassidish guy, comes with his wife and his only child. Never saw the guy in my life. He came only Thursday, Friday, Shabbos to be there. He spent a lot of money on a taxi. He doesn't drive. He taxi from here, taxi back. Very, very. Who else? Oh, the Satmar Chassid. What's his name? I forget his name. No, not the new Satmar. The other Satmar. No. I asked him, what Chassid are you? He says, I'm a chassid of Eli Stefansky. I have no Rebbe. That's it. Oh, Weiter. I know. Enough gaiva for Mendy. It was so close, the gaiva hurts him. Zog the Gemara. Hey, Stasam. So you have these 2 psukim, and the Gemara mentioned to us, just in passing, that worms that grow in a kli are mutter to eat. One pasuk is straight out, one pasuk is more, it's not as mefurish. Which one? So we're gonna have a machlaikis hillel. You hear?
Shuli Weinberger.
Shuli Weinberger. Yeah. No. No. Oh, edit. Edit. No. I think he's right. The other one is yes. I know the other guy's name. Hey, Sasam Mefurish, the guy that bought an aliyah, and he. No. You don't have to edit. Hey, Sasam Mefurish. Here, Yeshloi. Rabbi said, just I'm showing you in the pasuk. There shouldn't be. You see in purple, Asher Loi. That's Yeshloi. You see over here in the next pasuk Yud, it says Ein Loi. There's Yeshloi and Ein Loi. That the Gemara asked, like, can we figure it out ourselves? If you have to have it, you have to have snabber v'kaskeses to eat, then certainly you have to, then if you don't have, you can't eat. And if you don't have snabber because you can't eat, so if you do have, you could eat. That was the other day. But anyways, hey, saw something, I was driving down the highway, and I make one of these short stops. What are you doing? I got to turn around. I turn around, and I take a picture of this house. My wife is like, why? I said, because this is part of the Gemara. She said, how is this part of the Gemara? I said, because this has, does anybody see what I see?
Kaskeses.
It has kaskeses on it. The whole house is kaskeses. It's mamish kaskeses. No, you can't even make this. But you have to be able to see these things while you drive. It's a cute little house, and then the hillside of Switzerland. What?
Don't come off easily.
Oh, yeah, he's right. He is right. According to the Ramban, kaskeses, it just comes off. It's like a garment. It just peels off. And this doesn't come off. Rather, this junk looks like it comes off pretty easily. Anyway, Zok the Gemara. Hey, the Gemara is going to explain how and where. One man says that the first pasuk, Asher Loi, is the straight out over here. You can see that you're allowed to eat worms. The other pasuk Yud, is not as mefurish. My time at the man mefurish. What's the pshat? When he learns it from the first pasuk, that's mamish mefurish. That is the source. The pasuk test. My time at the man mefurish. Why does he say that the second pasuk is the one? The higher the gemucha hey. If you think about it, the Torah says that worms that grow or fish that grow in the ocean, you're allowed to eat if they have snapper v'kaskeses. What about if they grow in a kli? So we're learning, if they grow in a kli, you're allowed to eat them even if they don't have snapper v'kaskeses. Maybe the pshat is the exact opposite. Fish that have snapper kaskeses grow in the ocean, you're allowed to eat. And if they grow in a kli, even with snapper v'kaskesses, you're not allowed to eat. That even makes more sense. You know, we're used to like not eating things. So anything that grew in an aquarium, a salmon that grew, that was, how do you say grew? That was raised, cultivated in an aquarium. Maybe the Torah is saying you're not allowed to eat it. Only that in an ocean you're allowed to eat, but that in an aquarium not. Fish farm. You're telling me that the exact opposite. That if it has snapper in the ocean, you're allowed to eat it. And if it grows up in a vessel, an aquarium, even without a snapper if shrimp, you're allowed to eat it. So that's why he says it makes more sense the second pasuk. But we're learning from the second pasuk. If you're just going to learn from the first pasuk, I would say the opposite. That you're not allowed to eat even fish, even a salmon, a kosher fish with snapper, because you're not allowed to eat from a farm, from an aquarium. That's why I need the second pasuk is the more first one. Okay, that's it. We're done. Now we're going on to another sugya of very interesting stuff of worms. Omar Avuna. Just want to point out that if you eat a small, tiny worm, a Jewish guy on the trip, he took a berry off the side. He says, taste it. I said, I can't taste it. Maybe it has a worm. Trust me, it's good stuff. So I want to say that eating a small worm, people, strawberries, what Kabir Eddie, the OU says, yeah, the OU. So if the Badat said, you have to scrub it twice and with soap, dish soap, and the whole thing, it's not so posh to eat strawberries. Chumras of machmirim. If you eat a small worm, it could be a greater isser than eating a full plate of pork. That tiny little worm. Stop. Keep that in mind. It's not a joke. 24/7. No. Depends. Depends on the what. It's a whole berry. It's a bigger problem than pork. So says the Gemara. Let's start. Do not pour beer. Special date beer. They made beer out of dates. It seems from the Gemara it's nice and thick because they wouldn't use regular sifters because it wouldn't even go through. So what would they do? They would put a bunch of toothpicks, wood chips, mitzivyasa, wood, burta at night. Why? What is going on here? If there's worms that grow in the beer, drink it, geschmack, very appetizing. Wormy beer. Protein beer. Very good. Protein beer. Bit beheter, but if the worm comes out, that's the whole yesod of worms. If it grows in something and it stayed in that something and it was detached from the ground, great. But once it's shoyretz al haaretz, it walks on the ground. The Gemara is going to say how much in the ground. What if it's in the air? What if here? But if it walks on top of your wood chips for a moment and then plops itself back into the protein beer, then it's also for you to eat it. Now it's at night. You didn't notice if there's any worms or no worms. So now you shouldn't do this at night. But if it's during the day and you don't see any worms, drink. You see them swimming around there, it's okay. They most likely they grew up, the chinuch and everything was in the beer. Then it fell into the cup. As the Gemara, but even if it's in the beer cup, a lot of times worms like to walk their way up the wall of the cup and then plop back down. Says the Gemara, that's not a problem. This is how they operate. If a worm goes up and then goes back down, it's not a problem. That's how they grow. That's a good excuse, and that's a good reason to be able to eat it. The Sanya, we learned, and we just had it. You're allowed to bend down and drink straight out of a pit. And now we see in New York and all these places, you see, I remember in Camp Morris, there was like a stream, like a rock, and water came out of the rock. People, geschmack, cold water. Not a lot. So we used to take our bottle, fill it up from there, and bring it. And one Shabbos night, Friday night, I take a look at the bottle. I couldn't believe there's like 20 worms swimming in that water that I just caught off the rock. It's in there. If you don't have filtration, you don't. That's what you're going to be drinking. And I'm not saying it's usher. That's the whole discussion in New York. A few years ago in New York, they had a massive issue. But I saw it with my own eyes. I was the one that found it. Like this bottle sitting on the table. Like, whoa! What? And you see this guy just going like this. They live in the water. They swim. And they breathe water. They're like fish. So you're allowed to bend down into a bar and drink, knowing that there might be worms in there. You're allowed to eat everything that's in the water. So you'll say it's not noticeable. It's mamish to the naked eye. You can see it. But this worm maybe went up the vessel wall out of the water. It's not in the water. It says in the Torah, in the water. But once it comes out of the water, it's shoretz al haaretz. It walked on the ground. Walked on the ground, it becomes asur automatically. And then it fell back in, and then you drank it. That's normal for aquatic creature to come out of the water and then back into the water. So too by us, we're not concerned about this beer worm coming out for a moment and going back in. So we have a video. It said under both of the Jewish, no? It said something in the Jewish.
Two beers.
I would like a filtered beer, please. For me, unfiltered. Don't start out with me now. Where are we holding? Yeah. We said, these little flying insects, like little they tiny mosquitoes or little fruit flies, little shesinanon that were filtered. You're not allowed to eat the filtered flies that come out on the top of the filter, holy sinanon. But if you didn't filter, they're inside the drink. Shari, you're allowed to eat it. Oh. Omer Shmuel, kishus shetliya bi'ibel. You have some gourd that, as it was attached to the ground, it became wormy. Asur mishul masheres hashoretz al haaretz. Why? Because when Mechuber says Shmuel, this famous Shmuel, and we actually paskin like Shmuel. So it gives us less of a heter, Shmuel. That what? If the worms were introduced to the fruit while it was attached to the ground, attached to the tree, which is attached to the ground, that's considered a shoretz al haaretz, even though it's in the fruit, because the fruit is attached to the ground, so it's working around on the ground. Asura mishum shah. Asura mishum shah is a shoretz al haaretz. Sponsors. Hadar Global, the official non-corporate sponsor of the MDY League, Encore Healthcare, as a schools for all of Kleisville. You enjoyed yourself over there? Was it schmack?
Unbelievable.
For real? It was great. Don't tell me it's as good as the safari.
On the water. Like, you started making me nervous yesterday when you said maybe it's usher. You survived.
No, not usher. I was talking about this, I was talking about health.
I'm here, so I can't to me, sir.
Right. Also because of that, correct. Leeches. The Gemara says there's leeches in the water and this and that, Okay.
It's moving water. It's from that. What could be wrong with a little snow? Says the Gemara. Maybe I have a right to Shmuel. The what? When it's attached to the tree, then it's also to eat that worm, even though it's inside. Huh? Attached to a tree that's attached to the ground. Tanichada. Alaret lahoitzi. Lahoitzi means to give a heter. Es hazizin shabbat. You have little like mosquitoes, bugs in the lentils. Vesayat tushim shabbat klisim. This is more like chickpeas, hummus. V'tilash betmarim. V'shabbat groigrois. They were created inside. These worms were they were born inside the dates and the figs. So those are mutter. All these little yetushim are mutter. L'rabbis over here. L'hoitzi means to give a heter. L'rabbis means to add to the ister. L'rabbis telash shebikri zeisim shebikri kfanim. The ones that grow and the roots of the olives and the grapes. My la avidiv peir. L'chayr we're talking about both of them are inside the fruit. And one is attached to the tree. Attached to the tree is considered like the tree, like the ground, and mele saucer. And if it's not attached to the tree, then it's motor. No, they're both attached to the tree. When it's attached to the fruit are oimidli talish. Fruit is something that you're about to take off the tree, so it's not considered attached to the tree. Maybe you're allowed to, but the tree itself is also. We're talking about the root of the tree itself, not the fruit of the tree. The root. But we don't paskin like this. We paskin like Shmuel. Then what? So that's why people are makbid. Yes. How come people check dates and I don't know what, apricots? I don't know what. They open it up. They look. Why? So you can say, oh, what? So what? So it's a little worm. But maybe the worm came while it's attached to the tree. While it's attached to the tree, Shmuel says it's also. You're right. If the worm was developed when it was detached from the tree recently, in the last few weeks, from the time it was cut off the tree to the time it came to your table, then it wouldn't be such a problem. But since there's a problem that maybe it developed while it's attached to the tree, so we have to be makbid. Boy Rav Yosef, Pershavu Mesa Mahu. What if? Oh, so we have all these little guys here. Pershavu Mesa. It came out of the date and it died right away. It never had a chance to walk on the ground, Nebuch. So it's not al aretz, but it's on the aretz. Miktsasa Mau. It came out a little bit. La'avir oilamau. It came out to the world. Is that considered al aretz? Teiku. What happens when you have a teiku in this situation? Savik deraisa l'chumra. Boy Ravashi legag tomorrow mau will climb to the top like this guy. Legag garinosa. Here it is. He's climbing out of the pit to the top of the pit. Mitmar mau. Here. Ooh, geschmack. Maybe that is considered. Maybe came out of his house. He came out of his date and he went to another one. Maybe that's also. La'aver is mamish detached from the actual fruit. Here's separated, yeah. And you grabbed him out of the ear. So it never went to the arts, but over here he's still on the date. Teiku. These worms that you find in the liver of an animal or in the lungs of an animal, asiri daser. My taima, mamasu. They didn't grow. They didn't develop in the animal. They came from the outside. So Mela, there were once upon a time crawling creatures on the ground, and then they came into the animal. That doesn't make it a mutter. So if in fact they came from the world, so what does that mean they came from the world? The animal ate a bunch of hay. The hay had a bunch of worms, and it went through his digestive system. So wait a minute, it went into his digestive system, it should have came out the other way. You should find it in his feces, and whatever it's called. How do you find it how do you get to the liver? Maybe some of them get to the liver, but some of them should come out. You don't see it over there. These worms that you find in the liver, you're allowed to eat them. They grew, they were developed inside the animal. On Ravashi Pshitas, Pashat. Why? The Mama, so I can prove it to you. How you don't see it on the other side. No, you should know the halach is that these worms are also my time when the animal falls asleep. They go into the nose, into the nostril, and they go through, and somehow they get into different parts of the body. Darnay the bisras here, you open up an animal, you find a bunch of worms in the meat. I never heard of such a thing, but I guess it's... What? Yeah, we have that with the fish. And that's also shaila if they came in afterwards or they developed there. The kavre here, fish. Sharion. Ravina tells his mother, don't worry about it. Leave the worms inside the fish, mix it in there, make a geschmack gefilte fish, and I'm going to eat them. What's pshat? So I heard pshat that what? Take it out, what's the problem? No. So you can say, oh, a simple pshat is he don't want to be Mitzvah's mother or whatever. But another geschmack pshat is he wanted to show that the reason why he doesn't eat worms on a daily basis is not because he's an istinus and it grosses him out. He doesn't eat a worm because it's this deraisa. I'm going to show when it's mutter, I eat. So then when it's aser and I don't eat, I get schar. I, for instance, don't get any schar for not eating. You either. You don't get any schar for not eating a worm because you hate worms. You look at it, it's gross. No, I want schar for not eating the worm. The worms that grow in an animal are also. How come the fish the motor? Listen to this. Listen to this chap. The problem with the worm is that it's a live worm. It's Ever Menachai. How can you eat a live worm? Let's say it's mutter, but it's alive. It's Ever Menachai. Elamai, the shchita of the animal is going to be materet, but it's alive. The animal's dead. This thing's alive. It's not uber yerachim. It's not part of the animal. When it comes to the fish, you're right. It's alive, but there's no Ever Menachai because fish themselves, you don't have to shecht. Interesting. It's something to think about. The shchita doesn't help them, so therefore there's still Ever Menachai. There's no Ever Menachai in a fish. You just gather and eat. It could be it's about the shaksu or something. But the worm on them is mutter. You're not allowed to eat a snake. There's something that's like a snake, not really a snake, like a worm, a giant worm, a very long worm. It looks like a snake. Also. Interesting. They talk about it. Akrav actually has 6, but he uses 4 mainly to maneuver. This is what they call today. I think it was the most popular car ever made, the Beetle. And there's, I forgot how many, tens of thousands of types of beetles. I forgot to look it up. It's in the thousands. No, I'm talking about the type, what? 5 chipushes? I was wondering why you just walked in now. You had this joke prepared.
I was going up and down the next block with all the sand. I couldn't find the letters. So they moved their work to the next street.
Zok the Gemara, marber reglaim. In Hebrew also it's called a marber reglaim. Zenadol, it's a centipede. Why is it called a centipede? Because centipeds, it has 100 legs. So something interesting about a centipede, people my chavrusa told me this, but he was wrong. People think that they have odd number of legs. It's not true. They have even number of legs. They have odd number of amount of legs. In other words, they don't have 20 pairs, they have 21 pairs. They always have an odd number, always. 195, but some of them have over 1,000 feet. You think about it, they have 1,000 feet that walk. Here, I found this guy. Here's a guy that's they just discovered him, over 1,000 in Australia. Yeah. Marber Reglaim is an adol. Ad kol. L'Rabbis is a doima, it's a doima l'doima. Okay. Very similar to similar. Tanya Rabbi Yisrael, they're maskis oimer. Leviasan,
Dag toiru. Leviathan is a kosher fish. Shenemar gav afikim oginim tachtav chadudi chores. Afikim oginim elu kaskasim shaboy. These are the scales. Before you jump, the Chazon Ish once told Rabbi Yankel Galinsky, and this is a famous shaila. I had this question myself, that's why I'm just saying it over. The answer I don't know. He says, why do you need a raya that a Leviathan is kosher if HaKadosh Baruch is going to feed it to the tzaddikim, lasalavai? So Rabbi Yankel says, no, what's the answer? So he wouldn't answer him. So he kept on pressuring him. So Chazon Ish said, because Torah lo b'shamayim, and if there's no pasuk that the Leviathan is mutter, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't be able to serve it. Something like that. I don't get it 100%, but okay. I just thought, from the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's serving, it's right, that's not a guess. But anyway, Elu kaskas shroy, tachtov chadudi cheres, elu snapim sheperech b'hem. This is how he flies through the water. Oh, I can't say this. Hadran aloch elu treifois. Hadran aloch elu treifois. Hadran aloch elu treifois. What a geschmack of perek.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.